What?
Inside there. Bunch of new people.
Hey guys, Bryce Koon from the crowded booth here alongside Brandon Sudge. Happy opening day. Sun's shining, the birds are singing. It's a great day for baseball here. March 29th, Brandon, I could not be more excited about it. Here live from Suntrust Park outside here at the Battery Atlanta, the Coca-Cola Roxy Center right behind us. Brandon, what's better? I mean, weather's really nice. It's cool. It's a great day for baseball.
It's a nice day out here for now. Hopefully we can try to dodge the rain that's coming into the Atlanta area this evening, but it's a great day. Baseball's back. America's pastime is back in action. We've already got a game underway right now with the Cubs hitting a homer on the first pitch of the season. So baseball is back in full swing. What's some things that you're kind of looking forward to specifically coming off of Houston winning the World Series last year? What are some things that you're keeping an eye on here?
Yeah, 2018 season, that offseason was an interesting one to say the least. Had a lot of guys signed late. One thing, obviously, everyone's been talking about around the league, if you've been watching ESPN and MLB Network, is definitely the new Murderers Row up there in New York and the Bronx. They have Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. Those two guys are going to be mashing a lot of home runs for the Yankees. One thing you're talking about, the Astros winning the World Series, got to talk with Colin McHugh. He's a former Barry alum. He pitched a couple times in there, and he was able to really talk about their journey and how they were looking to repeat. But it's been really awesome. I mean, to see guys like that, be able to talk about who won the World Series, they're ready to go. Astros are loaded once again. They added Garrett Cole. There's a ton of things, but I'm really excited to see Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the Yankees lineup, like there is no sure out in that lineup. I mean, you've got Gary Sanchez, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, especially in that right field porch over in Yankee Stadium, like those guys could get plenty of homers, and the Yankees could be a World Series contender for this year. And then in the National League, too, you have teams like the Chicago Cubs signing Darvish and bringing a couple of players over to the north side of Chicago. And you've got the Washington Nationals, who always seem to be a contender at
Still hadn't won a playoff series.
Yeah, they're not. But you enter every year with the Nationals as a team that you kind of keep an eye on. Hey, you've got Bryce Harper, Anthony Rendon, Max Scherzer, Steven Strasburg, and those guys. I mean, you've just got a bunch of teams, both in the respective American and National Leagues, that have the opportunity to contend for a playoff spot and then a deep playoff run potentially in the World Series.
Yeah, a lot of teams. There's a lot of teams going into a rebuild mode. We saw a lot of teams kind of deconstruct their teams. Two teams here that are going to be exciting to watch. The Braves and Phillies. We're going to get into that in a little bit, but you're talking about teams that kind of added some pieces. The Cubs made that awesome World Series run after a long drought in 2016. They came back 2017, lost in the NLCS to the Dodgers. Both those teams are poised to be atop the NL and probably make a run. The NLS is going to be an interesting division to look at. You got the Rockies. They got a pretty good ball club. The Dodgers obviously going to be there. Diamondbacks, they had a surprisingly good year last year. Were able to add a little bit and probably going to make another run. The NL Central, for example, you got Cubs, Cardinals retooled, got Marcell Ozuna, and that's a whole other story we can go on. All the guys that were leaving that mass exodus of the Marlins.
The Cardinals also signed Greg Holland this afternoon.
Yeah, they signed Greg Holland while we were on the way over here.
He's a guy that has a track record as a closer who can shut down some guys. So that makes the Cardinals a contender to make some hay in the NL Central. And you speak of the West, I mean, you got the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the Dodgers for their payroll and an ace like Clayton Kershaw and the bats that they have with Corey Seager and all those guys in the lineup. But the Rockies and the Diamondbacks are two teams that are interesting to me also. Two teams that made the wild card a year ago. Two teams that add some pieces and have some solid talent in the organization. But anyway, you speak of two teams here this afternoon at Suntrust Park. The Atlanta Braves and Philadelphia Phillies, two teams in the NL East that are sort of near the end of the rebuild stage. So what do you think about the series this week here at Suntrust? And what are some things that you're looking forward to here at Suntrust Park?
I think one of the biggest things, you got two teams like you said, two young teams. They have the talent. Phillies added Arrieta late in the spring training. They also got Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
Probably trying to accelerate that rebuild a little bit. We got the Braves on the other hand. Stockpile of young talent. You've been hearing about it for years. They interviewed Freddie Freeman down at spring training. Said some of those names that you've been hearing for the past couple years, you're starting to see those. Obviously, the biggest story was Ronald Acuna and the whole. Whether or not it was service time manipulation or not, most likely was. He's going to stay most likely until April 13th. I'm thinking that he'll be up. But this series right here is huge, I think, for both teams because it's going to see, hey, it's opening weekend. You got some young guys on the mound. It's Aaron Nola. He's a young righty from LSU, a really good pitcher, entering his third season in the bigs. And he's got a good arm. It's going to be fun to watch him. And then Julio, can he bounce back from his SunTrust woes last year?
Yeah, I mean, not so much of it being a huge series. It's just an opportunity to see these guys for the first time. I mean, you look at the Braves roster, and personally, I don't think that it's got the full makeup until you bring guys like Ronald Acuna and Mike Soroka and a guy like Luis Gohara is able to get healthy. You know, it'll be a couple of months before this Braves roster is primed and ready to go for what I think could be a close to 500 season. But anyway, just being here at the end of March and being able to see these teams in action, you've got guys like Ozzie Albies and Dansby Swanson, who the Braves need a big step up from this year. He's a guy that sort of had to become acclimated to the major league level a season ago and didn't do quite what the Braves may have expected, but that may have also been being a hometown guy. The Braves could have hyped him up a little bit too much, you know. So I just feel like there are plenty of storylines. To speak of Julio Teheran and his pitching was at Suntrust Park, it'll be interesting to see if he can find a way to not give up as many home runs here at home. He was excellent on the road a year ago, but the Braves could use some consistency at home, a guy that they are dependent upon to be that ace type of arm.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see if he takes that step forward. Guys like Fulte as well. Fulte was had that awesome game against the A's where he almost threw a no-hitter last year. He kind of took a couple steps back heading into September. See if he can take that step forward. Another guy, Sean Newcomb. He's kind of the elder of that prospect group that's kind of come up. See if he can solidify a spot in the rotation. The guy that no one's talking about, kind of been injured. We got him from the Dodgers. Braves got him from the Dodgers in the offseason for Kemp, which is a huge trade we can talk about as well. Got Brandon McCarthy. He's going to be slotted in that 3 spot, and that's going to be interesting to see. I think the Braves have a solid foundation, you know, depending on what you read, if it's Baseball America, MLB.com, they have a top 1 or 2 farm system, depending on what you're looking at.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really the best thing for them if they're going to continue to try to rebuild and accelerate rebuild. And you never know. I mean, teams can surprise. We had the Twins last year. The Twins last year made an amazing run. If the Twins can do it, why can't the Braves do it this year? The Twins probably had a little more maturity in some of those spots, but the Braves, I mean, who's to say they can't do it and they can't do it this year?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's pretty phenomenal for the Braves coming into this season. I mean, the offseason was kind of tumultuous with the GM turnover, the loss of prospects. But as you speak of, they've still got a top 2, top 3 farm system in the league. I mean, that just says something to the job that the Braves have done throughout this rebuild, and now to see it kind of still continue. Like, the rebuild is not over, but to see it have progress and come to an end here is something that's a sigh of relief for these Braves fans who have watched 90 lost seasons here back to back years.
Yeah, we'd like to take this time to once again let you know we are here live at Suntrust Park here in the Battery, right behind the stadium, right in front of the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater. It's a great day for baseball. It's cool weather. We got a little bit of a breeze, pretty weather. Hopefully, like Brandon said, the rain holds off. Just sitting here talking baseball and previewing the season. If you are around, come on by and hang out with us for a little bit. And Brandon, one thing I'd like to touch on for the next part is we have, you know, these teams like the Nationals. They're projected every single year to make a World Series run. And they're probably already thinking, not the team, but, you know, writers around the world are thinking, and around the nation thinking, they have the NL East wrapped up. You know, the Marlins, I don't know what's going on down there. They're obviously in a rebuild.
Yeah.
The Phillies could be a young team. Braves kind of in the same position. And then you got the Mets. If the Mets stay healthy, they're a dangerous team.
That's the thing with the New York Mets. I mean, it's all about health for New York. The Mets are the Mets roster makes it a very good baseball team. I mean, DeGrom and Noah Syndergaard and those arms, and then you have a lineup with as Dribble Cabrera. You've got Jay Bruce. You got Yoenis Cespedes. You've got a dangerous team there. Now, I don't know if the Braves are in a place to compete with those two yet, but it'll be interesting to see atop the NL East those two teams go back and forth and see who can reign supreme in the division. But again, it would not surprise me to see a team like Atlanta. The past couple of years, the Braves have had that 500 mark about at the halfway point of the year, and then they kind of tailed off at the end. But with these younger guys coming up in the midpoint of the year, it'll be interesting to see if they can right the ship here through the middle of June, maybe the early stages of July here, and they maybe go after it, maybe acquire a player and be in a buyer's mode at the end of July here at the deadline. So this is going to be an interesting season here for the Braves. It's going to be a season to see if this team can be a legitimate contender in the coming years, and it'll be a real opportunity to see if the Braves rebuild has made the success that a lot of fans are hoping to see.
Yeah, the Braves kind of been in a rebuild ever since they left Turner Field and began the migration up here to Cobb County. One thing that's interesting, you talked about if they're in contention, do they make that move for a piece?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Anthopoulos is going to have to, weigh, getting new with the organization and trying to learn about the prospects on his own and see what's going to work and what's not.
Yeah, I mean, he said he's going to take time to evaluate his prospects. At the same time, though, you've got so many of them. Is it going to hurt you to part with one or part with the top guy to get a guy that's proven at the major league level and shown that he can make a difference? I mean, it's a very interesting dynamic to see how the Braves handle this. I don't think you can go wrong either way.
Yeah, so for the next segment, I'm going to do something that's catching Brandon completely off guard. I'm going to give him some questions and see what he thinks. All right, so the first is over or under 100 home runs for Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What are you going to take?
I will go slightly over. I think those two guys will be able to hit some homers, especially among that right field portion of Yankee Stadium. It will be a show up in New York City this year, something I'm excited to see.
All right, second question. Who wins the AL East? You got the Red Sox. They retooled. They got JD Martinez late in spring training. He's a nice power bat addition that kind of solidifies that middle part of the lineup. Got some decent pitching. If David Price can have a bounce back year, something could happen there. So who's your pick, Yankees or Red Sox, to win the AL East?
That's the question, if David Price can get back to form. Based on what I don't know about the Red Sox, based on the uncertainties in the pitching staff, but what I do know about the Yankees, you've got Luis Severino, you've got Masahiro Tanaka, you've got that lineup, you've got proven guys. I think it's a no-brainer that I just say the Yankees are the favorite there to win the AL East.
All right, so Red Sox fans, feel free to blow up Brandon Sudge's Twitter and with all kinds of threats against him as he picks the Yankees to win the AL East. All right, second, Shohei Ohtani. What is your read on him? You taking him as is he going to pitch over 100 innings, or is he going to hit more than 20 homers?
I'm going to go with the pitching for Ohtani. He's definitely a guy that brings another interesting dynamic to baseball here in the United States. I mean, a guy who hit all over the place in Japan, and there was an ace type of arm. I mean, I think based on your two questions, I don't really have a solid answer there for over/under, but I just think it'll be an interesting dynamic to see how he performs, how he can hit, and then how he can turn that around and be a dependable guy for the Angels. But to answer your question, I will go with over 100 innings and be a guy who is dependable for LA.
All right, third question. This is going to be hitting here in the NL East. Over under 65 wins for the Marlins this year. The Marlins completely blew up their roster. Derek Jeter is now in ownership there, and he pretty much took the initiative. Got some decent prospects in return. Lewis Brinson's a guy I'm excited to see there down in Miami. But what is your pick? Over under 65 wins for the Marlins this year?
Yeah, that's a tough question. That puts them at 97 losses. I'm going to go.
That's some quick math, Brandon. I had no idea it was going to be 97 losses.
I'm going to go slightly under there. I don't know how good this Marlins team will be. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite a rebuilding project. It could be an Astros-like type thing this year for Miami. With no Giancarlo Stanton in right field, after he kind of spoke to the media about how much of a how much of a circus I guess things were there in Miami. It will be not too interesting to see them play every night, but interesting nonetheless to see if they can hold up a decent type of team there in Miami.
All right, fourth question. You ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right, the Cubs were able to go to the World Series 2 years ago.
Yes.
Dodgers, this. Are you taking the Cubs or the Dodgers to head back to the World Series, or do you have another pick? And this is out of the National League.
National League. I will go with the Chicago Cubs this year. I feel like with their pitching, they got a solid rotation. They have young guys like Ian Happ that hit a home run today. That was who I was referencing earlier. They've got a young lineup. They got the arms. They have a bullpen. I feel like this is the year for the Chicago faithful to get back to the World Series.
All right, before we head into question 5, make sure to like and follow us on all social media. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you want to watch the video later, you can watch it on Facebook, or you can also, we're going to put the link on there to watch it on YouTube. And if you're just an audio guy and want to listen to it on your drive to Suntrust Park or wherever you are today, make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, as the audio versions from all our shows is there, and this one's going to be on there as well. All right, 5th question, Brandon. So you got the Yankees coming out of the East.
Yeah.
Who you got coming out of the AL to face the Cubbies in the World Series? And if you pick who I think you're going to pick, then you stole my pick from earlier when we were on the phone.
I did not steal your pick from earlier, however, I am going to go with it. I think the Houston Astros are a team that will get back to the World Series. I mean, there's no reason not to pick it. I think it will be a Yankees-Astros ALCS, and that will be one heck of a series there. But the Astros add Garrett Cole to the rotation. Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Dallas Keuchel in the rotation, George Springer, Carlos Correa.
You just keep going.
There's no sure out in the Houston lineup or no easy day against the Houston rotation. I'm going to go with the Astros and the Cubs to take the field in the World Series this October.
All right, so we're getting to the last part of Brandon's questions here is his me berating him with 20 questions. This is question number 6 and the last question. You got Cubs-Astros World Series. How many games and who wins it?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to take it all the way. I'm going to go 7 games. I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs to win it again as they did 2 years ago.
All right, I'm different. I'm going with the Astros repeating, and I got my Berry College, my former Viking, Colin McHugh, locking it down in 2 innings. A 2-inning save for Colin McHugh in Game 7. So I know Colin's not watching this, but if you are, you're getting a 2-inning save in Game 7 of the 2018 World Series, and he's going to strike out. I'm going to call it right now. He's striking out. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. Go ahead.
Javier Baez, Chris Bryant, and Anthony Rizzo on 9 pitches. I'm calling it right now.
Okay.
That's my bold prediction for 2018.
Okay, you got a long way to go for that one, but we shall see what happens.
So we shall see what happens. Once again, we're here live at Suntrust Park outside the Battery, right behind the stadium, right in front of the Coca-Cola Roxy Theater. If you're tuning in, thanks for tuning in. If you're going to catch this later, you didn't get to catch all of it, make sure to tune into YouTube. You can watch the video there. Audio is going to be on iTunes. Brandon went with Astros Cubs. He took my pick from earlier, even if he wants to lie about it. That's okay. I hope his boss is over and all the publications he writes for hear that, and that takes down his job credibility. No, I'm just messing with you. But thanks for tuning in. We're going to get ready to go in the stadium. Happy opening day from wherever you are today. This has been Bryce Koon alongside Brandon Sudge.
Thank you for having me on, Bryce. See you guys later.
See y'all guys later. Happy opening day, and I'm picking the Braves for this one over the Phillies.
Alrighty, what y'all say?